net sales. So then we should recognize how much you have sold, then how much the cost of the item. So there's a cost of goods sold. We normally can say CGS, okay? Then we go to the gross profit. So then this number is very important because the gross profit can be used to evaluate the performance of this company. What kind of performance? Because cost of goods, these costs are the goods they purchase from the supplier. So if this company, the purchasing department is very good, which means they always can find the goods, good quality, and with what? Good price. Okay. So in that case, you should know if the goods price is lower, the gross profit can go up. Okay. So we would always like to use gross profit to evaluate this company's purchasing department's capability. Okay. They always can, and they control the goods they purchase qualities very well. Because what? Because we not too many things to return because of defect. So that's why we keep these two lines in order to evaluate the company's, purchase quality. Okay, then you can use this number. So in that case, then how is what's the price for cost of goods sold? Because I just say when you purchase something, the price may going up gradually. In that case, what kind of method you are adopting will matters how much the price you're putting here. Okay, if you are using FIFO, first in, first out, which means the cost of goods sold should be the lower comparing to the other method, right? Because they are the lower price, which means the ending inventory, which means ending inventory. These items are not sold. Since they are not sold, so they should be put on the balance sheet, assets, and inventory. Okay, so this ending inventory goes to balance sheet. Okay, so this price should be comparing to the other method should be higher than the other method. Why you need to know the concept? Because it matters again about how much tax you are paying. Because after you decide what method, then you know how much the cost of goods will be. Then after you deduct all the expenses, goes to your net income. So the tax is based on your before tax income. Okay? So if you're using the FIFO, which means the cost of goods sold is lower, which means your gross profit is higher, which means your net income is comparatively higher too. Okay, which means you are taxed more money. Okay, so why companies are willing to do this? Depends on, because since you pay more tax, but at the same time your assets inventory value is higher. So it's a kind of strategy. What's the purpose? You are presenting your financial statement to the users. If the company trying to get a loan from the bank, of course they are trying to get a better number of the inventory, because when the bank decides to how much money they're going to borrow you, they will check how much inventory you are having. In case you decline the money, okay, they can sell your inventories or other assets. So probably the purpose is like this. Then the company are willing to use the FIFO method. Okay. Then why you bother? Because this year may be like this. Next year, I have different strategy. Okay, I want to show people that I have more income or whatever. Or next year, I want to say more tax. then you cannot say that this year I'm using FIFO, next year I'm using the other methods. Okay, so you have to be consistent unless some really big reason that you want to change the method, then you have to file to the tax bureau or wherever. OK， 知道吗？我们用不同的方法会影响我们不同的本期净利，也会影响到我们期末的存货价值。但是因为你们一个公司它在不同的情况下，它有不同的策略，所以它可能一个会计人员他就必须去选择对公司有利的方法。但是你不可以一直换方法，这样子对使用者会非常困惑。所以一般来说，除非有特别原因你要换方法的话，你必须要跟国税局或相关的机关去申请说我要换方法。So when you change the method, you have to disclose the information on your disclosure. See, so that's why I always said, when you want to know company better, you cannot just read the full statement. More valuable or hidden information are in the disclosure. So you have to read. Normally the disclosure will cover many pages, much more valuable information than the full statement. OK， 通常我们在看财报表的时候，不会只看那四大报表，都会看后面的注明。OK， 那个注明上有藏了很多的很重要的资讯，很重要的资讯。OK， so besides the FIFO, before in the United States, currently still, they allow to use LIFO, but since we are using the international accounting principle, LIFO is not allowed anymore. But you still need to know the concept in case sometimes, some days you are doing the business with the United company, then why is this company using LIFO? Most of the time, company using LIFO always for tax purpose. Just say LIFO, just still in case, assume the price is going up. Okay, which means LIFO is using a price that recently purchased, which means the cost of goods sold should be very high. And the any inventory always in the beginning, okay? In that case, if you have higher cost of goods sold, which means your net income definitely comparatively will be lower. So which means you can save lots of tax. So the only purpose, because it doesn't make sense, why you buy the things and you always want to sell the recent purchase items. It doesn't make any sense. But unfortunately, accounting principle, especially a couple years before, we allow this method, okay, on tax purpose only, okay? But for international accounting, no more, okay? Why no more? It's not because of the tax purpose. Why it's not allowed? Because LIFO, which means your ending inventory always cover the oldest item, but for international accounting spirit, always have to show up the market value at the end of the balance sheet date, which means on your last day of your balance sheet, all the assets should be close to market value. Okay, if that's the reason, then if you are using LIFO, it's violated. Because this is using the oldest value, not the market value, recent value. So that's why for IFRS, no more allowed for LIFO because the ending inventory is not updated. Okay, so that's the reason. But actually, in real case, 怎么样? Average. So the method, the key point of weighted average, they smooth out the erratic, maybe going up, maybe down. So when you are using weighted average, the people will not feel bothered anymore to worry about the trend of the price. Okay? So what is the weighted average? Means whenever you purchase new item, you have to use the cost of the new purchase, add up with the original ending balance, total it up, and divide it by the total item, the new purchase item and the item in the inventory. So which means total cost divided by total items. So you have, I will say, unit. So you have always average unit price. When you need this, when you need the unit price, whenever you are selling something, you need a updated unit price. Then when you calculate the unit price, whenever you have the new purchase in, then you have to do it at the time. So once again, it's very important for the weighted average. When you need new, updated new unit price, whenever you purchase something, you need to add it up, the new price with the old price, and divide it by total units. Then you have an updated unit, average unit price. Then whenever you are doing the sales, then you need to use the average unit price times the item, the units you are selling. Then that becomes cost of goods sold. Got it? So very easy. So we normally, for perpetual inventory system, we normally will add one more word, moving. Moving weighted average. So maybe sometimes you will see average, weighted average. Maybe sometimes you will see moving weighted average. What's the difference? If you are just saying the weighted average, probably they added up the whole period when you are using a periodic system. Okay, you added up the total value divided by total units. But when you are using moving, this word adding moving, which means this company definitely is adopting the perpetual inventory system. Why? Because perpetual inventory system asks you, whenever you are purchasing, you put on purchase, debit, and credit AP, right? But whenever you are selling something for perpetual inventory system, you need to record two entries. One is the debits, AR, credit, sales, right? Another one is your debit. Let me write it down. We are always saying about perpetual inventory system. So when you are doing the purchasing, you need to get the debit, inventory or purchase, and credit AP. And whenever there's a sales, you need to do two entries. One is accounts receivable and the sales. This is something very important here. Another thing is you need to recognize how much you have sold. You are selling, have sold, okay? So you deduct inventory from debit to credit and goes to the cost of goods sold. So these two items you need when you are doing the sales or the entries. So that's why we are saying whenever you are doing some sales, you need to get an updated average unit. So that's why we say it's a moving weighted average. 知道吗？一般来说，如果你是期间制的话，你只要靠期末手法总成本除以总数量就好，所以那就叫做平均制。但是因为我们是永续制，永续制的话，就是你每买一个东西，就要卖一个东西就要记录最新的资讯。所以因为你要卖，所以你的那个单位成本就要一直被改，因为你每改进一批货，你的单位成本就改变。所以这就是为什么在永续制下叫做移动式加权平均，移动式加权平均的数字。OK，I think you all have your paper with you. Practice in class, right? Everybody, please take out your paper. I only have some paper left here if you ever still need. We're doing the first one. I only have because I have to keep you can share. 都有了吗 Everyone? Give up? Okay, let's do it together for the number 1. Okay, question is, you need to use FIFO. Okay, so we have a beginning inventory, that's very important information. And you have a new purchase on January 5th, and you have sales on 10th, another purchase on 15th, and another sales on 25th. So see the block here, okay? You have purchase, I have already put on the date already for you, okay? So just record the unit. For example, January 1st, you have to put on the beginning inventory information on the balance area. Okay, we have 3 major columns. One is purchase, second one is sales, and the last one is balance. Okay, so for the beginning information, you should put on the balance, which means the end of the information. Okay, then we have a purchase on 5th, then you have to put on the related information on that block. Okay, so now the important thing is on January 10th, you are selling 40 units. 60. But we have 2 layers with different price. The first layer is 100 with unit price $10. Okay, the second layer is 40 units with 12. So when you are selling 60 items, okay, then you are using FIFO, which means you should get from the beginning inventory first, right? So now you should fill in 1/10. What about the sales? The unit, how many you are sold, and what's the unit price? Then you have to fill in the unit cost total, okay, for sales. Units, unit cost, and the total number. Got it? Everyone, you have to do it. Today, then when we finish all the questions, you have to submit. This is your, in-class performance, okay? I'm not asking you to, uploading whatever the notes in class, using whatever the method. But now, I need everyone to do the practice in class, then you have to submit. And this is a very important document that I think you are in class. You are really concentrating in the class. Okay. So everyone, please do it. If you don't know, you can ask your partner, your neighbor, you ask me. If anyone has questions, please raise your hand. Don't feel shy. I think no big deal. I can personally instruct you. 不懂的一定要问哦，一定要问哦。Cost of goods sold, which will be showing up on your income statement. Cost of goods sold is related to the cost. Income statement only record sales and the related costs and the related expenses. Then you get net income. So that's why we say income statement is for the operating result. Okay? And the balance sheet is showing up your financial state position for all the account. Okay? Alright, so here, since it's only 60, so you get from the first layer first. Then don't forget, you still need to fill up the total balance with 2 layers in this case. Okay? Then on January 15, you have a new purchase. That's why I made the balance here coming with the 3 layers with different units and a different unit price, cost price. Okay? Then last one, you have a selling. Total is 50. So you get from the first layer first and the 10 from the second layer. What about anyone try to calculate by yourself? If I'm selling 90 units, tell me your cost of goods sold. Do it now. I'm giving you another question here. If on January 25th, instead of selling 50 units, I'm selling 90 units. Can you do the calculation now? How much is the total cost of goods here? I'm selling 90 units. Everybody, please do it. Just 90, not 50, 90. I'm selling 90 units now. How much is the cost? Everyone, you need to do it, then I know you really know or not. 现在变成卖90，不是卖50哈。90的话，你要怎么卖？ Why you stop? Or you can use your mind to calculate. You can read your own paper. You don't need to squeeze your eyes. Now I'm selling 90 units.你怎么都不动手，光看他？来这边多一份。哦，你两个共用。来，我现在我可以看了，等一下要交，不然你交不出去。下课掉针，这是你平常上课的成绩啊，有做就有分数。Please, after today's sessions, you need to submit your paper. Okay? So don't just stay there. You need to do the writing. Okay, so anyone who can let me know your answer? How much? Speak louder.
1,600.
1,600, right? 1,600. Let's see. We had a first layer of 40 with $10, right? What about the second layer? 40 again? 40 with 12. And definitely 10 with how much? 13. So total is the same as yours? 1,600?
And 10.
10.
We also follow the
10.
But you have to add the 600 from earlier. You have to add the 600. Because the total.
That's right, 10, 12, 13. So the first one is 400. Second one, 480. 30. Yeah. 10, 10.
And then you add the 600 from earlier for total.
Here. This number is right?
Yeah, it's right. And then you have to add the 600 again.
Yeah, I'm just asking for this case.
Yeah.
So when this change, of course, the balance, any balance change too. Okay, good. So we can do the second one, weighted average. Okay. All right. Let's see the second questions. The moving. So here's the question. It's still the same. We have beginning and we have purchase, we have sold. The difference is, listen carefully, I just said it's a moving weighted average. Whenever you have a new purchase, you always need to update your newly average price. So here, the first one, the balance still put it here, okay? And the second one, you have purchase. So that's why the total price 480. Then you have to add 480 with the original cost 1,480, right? But now the unit become 100 add up with 40. So you have to use 1480 divided by 140, which means you have the unit price 10.57. Got it? Okay. Then, of course, it might be some rounded number, so it doesn't matter, but the total balance should be the same. Okay, so when you are selling the things, you're using the updated unit price to do as the cost of goods sold. So you have something 140 minus 60, you have 80 minus. Then don't try to, hey, listen carefully. Don't try to use times 80 up to 1057. Why? There would be have some difference. So you should using 1,480 minus this number. Then this is the correct ending balance. You cannot just times will be have difference. Maybe $1, $2. Okay? So okay. Then again, you have the total value here. If you times it here, make this like 455, 458. Then when you add it up, then it will continue have the mistakes, okay? So for 846, add up the new purchase total price and divide it by 70, add up to 80, 150, you have another updated unit price again, okay? Then you have to add up 846 with 910, then you have the ending balance. So when you are selling, then again and again. Okay, I'm moving after my demonstration. I'll take that away. You have to do it by yourself now. 知道吗？你每一次买新的时候就要去计算好新的单价，但是在期末总成本是用加减的。 不然你用小数点乘的话，会出现小数点误差出来的1、2块、2、3块的差额，这样的话越错越大数字。所以你就只有在计算的时候，你可以用小数点。Normally for the unit price, we prefer 2 digit or at least 1 digit， 好，一点小数点1点或2点就可以了，不要太多。 Okay? Got it?
60。
How do you get the total cost?
This one here, you add up the 1,000 with the new cost and divide it by the total units. So 1,480 divided by 100, so you have the unit price here. 可以吗？你们两个懂吗？可以。1000加上新的除以总数量，这就是你单价。但是你不要忘了，你这边的最后东西还是要出来啊，只剩下是不是100剩下60，剩下40？那单位成本是不是这样？可是你不要忘了，你的那个总期末存货是1000。这边还没有出来，要一起写进去，总成本1480。对。然后。你会变成140个，因为100加40嘛。那你这一行在对这一天，是不是你总单位是140个？然后呢，因为你算出来的，刚刚这个怎么算出来？是因为你1000加480，1480除以140，所以你的单价是10.57折。因为你有10.57，你才知道你可以用在这里，不然你怎么知道用在这边，对不对？你们两个应该各坐他们两个旁边，他们两个英文那么好，我好好用一下。他们两个是班上英文最好的呢。你们2年一起学什么英文啊？坐在他旁边吧。Kevin, try to speak to him. And Kevin 可以说一些中文的，所以这好好练习一下。Okay, questions here? 你们 girls, okay? 你的表情 ，No, yes， 可以吗？你这过来的时候，这航线还是要出来啊，因为你这边没有 any 的资讯啊，是不是100加10 140？因为你有140，然后1000加480，你才会知道它是10.57嘛。然后你的总共是1000加480，哎，你1480。因为你这边没有出来的话，你这边怎么知道说用多少？
We just this
So you then the ending balance is this is down here, then go to here. okay? Now take out your red pen. If you do the correction, if you really have to correct, then you have to, give a tick. And if you really make something wrong, make a cross, okay? Then it doesn't matter because I'm not counting your performance. I just want you to really do something in class, okay? So it doesn't matter you are wrong or right, but at least I should know. Okay, so now please take up your red pen or other color than your original color, okay? Then you make a correction, see it's, so here's the solution again. So the first line, make sure you have to copy the beginning inventory to the ending balance, okay? Then the second one, I see lots of students make mistakes because you're just doing here, but you still have to move to the ending balance. Otherwise, for general fish, the information is not completed. You still need to fill up the ending inventory. Okay, if you don't do this line, how did you get the 10.57 unit price? So you need to add up 100 units with 40 here, which is 140. You add it up the total cost, then see the last here, the calculation here. 1,480 divided by 140. Now you get 10.57, okay? Since you have 10.57, when you are selling them, then you have the price to use, okay? So which is 634. So you totally deduct to 846. But here, you should make sure you have the 80 left with the unit price 1057. Even though 80 times 1057 will not exactly equal to 846. That doesn't matter, okay? But you still need to fill out the information. Okay, so far. Then you have a new purchase. Again, added up the total units 80 plus 70, which is 150, okay? Then add up the total cost, which is 1756. So the second calculation, see the second line here, will go to 11.71. 11.71. So you put on the ending information here. So when you are going to sell, then you have the price to use. Okay? So totally 585. Okay, so you use the number here. Okay, so here is the solution. Don't try to change, just let me know the truth, whether you know or not. Then later on or not, you make the examination, I know, the problem, okay? So whether if you are right, then you are right. If you are wrong, then you are wrong, okay? So let's go back to our slide here. So let's go again. I'm not saying do the demonstration for specific identification, since it's a really easy one, because for specific, you should know which item with what number. So it's very easy. For example, this company is selling 20 bikes with 8 with 91, 12 with 106. If the question will specific telling you the information, okay. But anyway, when you are doing the solution, even though it's just a multiple choice, when you are doing the multiple choice, you don't have the table like here to let you trace. But I still recommend you draw a table like similar like this. Then you pile up the ending balance. If you don't do this, then if it's a multiple choice, then you will get trouble. You use your imagination, sometimes it's easy to make wrong, okay? So I still recommend, even though it's a multiple choice questions, you still draw the table with the column purchase, cost of goods sold, and the ending balance. And they're very clear, you should know. And one more thing I have to remind you, maybe there are just one selling. Maybe there are 2 or more sales, okay? Whatever how many. Every time you are counting, calculating the individual cost of goods sold. So at the end, you have to total this, the cost of goods sold together. Then that will be the number you put on your income statement. So you, for the income cost of goods sold, you need to add up each one. But for ending inventory, the last one will be number you need to know. OK？ 所以在做这个四个栏位的时候，即便你是做选择题，我也建议你们把它画出来，不然你们很容易乱掉。那在做销货成本的时候，有几次就要加几次。但是期末成本的话，因为期末存货它一直被更新，它的最后一个 end number 就是你的期末存货。OK， 所以这两个部分要请特别小心。So this is the entry for purchase. I hope you still remember debit and inventory credit AP. Okay, same thing. But for the sales, you need to recognize sales and also cost of goods sold. Okay, then I'm not repeating. So this is FIFO, and a similar example I've given to you already. So at the end, you need to add the total together to get a cost of goods sold and the ending inventory. Okay, FIFO the same thing. We have the practice of already, and the moving weighted average. Okay. When a unit sold, an average cost of each inventory is assigned of the cost of goods sold. So the formula is total cost of goods sold divided by total goods. Okay. The keywords, please remember for weighted average, whenever, see the word, the purple wording, whenever there is a purchase, the average unit cost has to be updated. Remember the timing. Whenever there's a purchase, whenever there's a new unit price, okay, do the timing is when you are purchasing something, okay. All right, so here's the thing. Okay, then we're talking about some concept. Whatever the method, specific or the average or the FIFO, what's the effect? Why someday, even though you might not be accountant, when your accounting report to you, I assume you someday can be a management level people, and your accounting people will report a statement to you. Then you will challenge her or him why you adopt this method. Okay, because there should be some reason he or she is doing so. Okay， 所以用哪个方法一定是有它的原因。好，将来不管是怎么样的管理层面，你的会计人员告诉你他用的方法的话，你要注意他为什么这样用。Okay，let's see that we cross out the LIFO because in your book you will not see that anymore. Okay, so we have specific, FIFO, and weighted average, and assuming the condition is price is going up. Okay, going up the price. So see, when you are using the FIFO, the cost of goods sold always the lowest, because I just give you the trend, because cost of goods sold is using the lower price sold up. Okay, so totally the cost of goods is always the lowest, and the weighted average is in between FIFO and LIFO. Okay, then a little bit upper, higher than FIFO. So average normally can be higher than FIFO. If that's the case, then your net income will FIFO always get a higher net income. Okay, and weighted average is less. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, that's the reason. Okay. All right. So then, if the cost of goods sold is the lowest, then their relationship is always opposite. Why? See, when you this is the beginning, since you have inventory, then you have purchase. So we totally call merchandise available for sale. So which means here is the total value you can sell. So if you are selling out we call that cost of goods sold. If anything not sold, we call that ending inventory. So their relationship, one, they are opposite. Because if you're going up, definitely this is lower. If this is lower, then definitely this is up. Okay, so that's why they have opposite information. So which means if you have higher, lower cost of goods sold here, lower than here, then definitely later on your ending inventory showing up on your balance sheet definitely is higher than this one. So which that tells you, if you are the accounting director, you need to make a decision what method you want to adopt. Then see your company's stage. You are in a developing stage, or you are in a mature stage. You want to save tax, or you want to get loan from the bank. Then see what kind of information is more benefit to you, so you will adopt either this one or this one. Normally, no one will use this one unless you are selling some very limited item with very high value of the unique price, like the imported car, Mercedes-Benz or something, and easy to trace the individual price. And normally, those things are will customized for some rich person. So it definitely will specific identification. Okay, you can trace the cost right away. So, but unless other than that, most of company will not use this one. Okay, so you just need to focus on these two methods, which one you prefer to use for better for your company. Okay, so this is the effect for different methods. Okay, for local students, Taiwanese students, the company, I just mentioned that we have a tax effect, okay? Then for Taiwan's corporation, normally on May, we need to file the corporate tax, individual tax, and also file the corporate tax, okay? In Taiwan, when you buy something, we call that sales tax, that's 5%. What about Indonesia? When you buy something, how much tax you are charging? 10? Really?
Yeah.
For example, I buy something 100, actually I need to pay 110. Is that what you mean? 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
10%.
It's really the highest I've ever heard. In the United States, in New York, or in West Coast, like California, they will charge like 8%, is pretty high. Like the one I live in Minnesota, and actually if you buy anything clothing, free tax. Okay, but other than that, probably 6%. What about South Africa?
15.
Oh,
15.
15? I don't want to go there anymore.
But it's pretty cheap.
Wow, Taiwan just 5%, but you don't even feel that. But it's because 5% intrinsic, which means you buy 100, then you pay 100. But after the company sales department, for example, you buy something $100, so for the accounting, they will divide it by 1 plus 5, something like 95. So this is the real sales. Okay, so they will record something like that. Cash, $100, what they have received. Okay, then today they make sales only 95. And tax payable, because this is sales tax, later on they will submit to the tax bureau. Okay, when they really submit it, then tax payable from credit to debit, then cash $5. So this is just temporary. Later on, we're going to the tax bureau. Okay, so real sales only 95. But if the actual sales, most of the world, how about Indonesia? You are actual or intrinsic? When you buy $100 item, you pay 100 or you pay 110. 110. Okay. If that's the case, then you pay 110, then you receive cash 100, and actually the sale is 100, and you have tax payable 10. So in your country, your accounting person will do like this, okay? But in Taiwan, they have to do the calculation first, see the real sales, how much it will be. Okay, so different system. So I say, even though 5% in Taiwan is really low, but for customer, they don't even feel that. That's the difference, okay? But that's sales tax， 这叫做销货税，好，销货物税，销货税。所以我们台湾是内含税，所以你买东西你就看标价多少，你就付多少钱。那等到他们自己的会计部门，他还要重新计算真正的销货金额，要去除以1+5%，真正的销货金额是多少？那国外大部分都是就是你看到那个 tax 多少钱，你要确定它销货税多少，因为你还要另外额外付税，好，那是不一样哦。OK，but for corporation tax, corporate tax, then you have to totally pay up to 20%, very high. Originally it's 17, but I think 3 years ago they adjust to 20%. Even though 20% comparing to the United States, which is about 27 or something, we are still low. So taxes, Taiwan is really happy place to stay. Okay, then we have also another tax. I'll just let you know. So when you company making later on all things clear, then you have really make something. For example, I made $1 million for this year. Okay, then normally the corporate law require you have to pay your shareholder some dividend coming from this $1 million. If you don't do that, you are supposed to file extra 10%. Since they give you the penalty because you don't do a good treatment to your shareholders. Okay, then so they have to do that. 1 million, they take out 10% to give the shareholders. Okay, but now recently, because lots of the corporations they really complain why you need to. Why sometimes if you don't issue the dividend, it doesn't mean that you are not doing well to your shareholder, because lots of companies, especially for those developing companies, they need more cash to have more expand, okay, to expansion, do the more expansion. So that's why they tell their shareholder, probably today, this year, I'm not giving to your satisfied dividend, because we need to do more, expand more factory, buy more equipment. Later on, when we really make some money, I really will give you really something you really feel happy. Okay, so if the government step in, they force you to give the dividends. Sometimes probably it's the reason for some bad company, but not company, it's really like that. Okay, so that's why recently they adjust to only 5%. If you don't pay your shareholder any dividend, then you have to extra pay 5% tax. So that's something I don't know about in other country. 所以我们在台湾有未分配盈余的税金，如果赚了钱没有分给股东的话，你要另外被 charge 10% 的税金。那现在这个10% 已经降到5%，好，只是让大家知道这种概念就是哈，万万税哈，台湾我们都叫万万税，你看看国外就知道，其实我们台湾真的还好。Okay, this is for individual tax for Taiwan people. Okay, we started from 5% going up to the maximum 40%. If you are really rich people, after all the deductions, then you are should be obliged to pay 40 extra for the tax. Okay. All right. So I just mentioned whatever the method you're adopting, you need to do it consistent, because if you don't consistent using the same method, then year after year, then the information user will get confused. I think that's very easy to get understand. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So if in case you really change the method, then you have to do the disclosure. okay, so that's easy. Oh, okay, then we need to go to the quiz. Please go to the Trump class.
Rasa dah akan lebih.
Tadi kan tadi.
Saya tak dapat.
I really like our new website. It looks so impressive.
Very good.
Oh, saya ingat di Opwan macam ni. Opwan lawan macam ni.
The deciding thing is for next. This is done.
Okay, can you see the questions now? 6-2. Don't know this session unless you cannot log in.
Right. Quiz answer just ended.
Ended?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, what about the others?
Same.
Yeah, you finished before she. Mine just worked now. I'm done.
I don't know how to do that. I'll ask my PA again. Okay, just temporarily skip that. We go to subject. Okay, we'll finish this one, then we'll do the break. Okay, now we know how to calculate the cost of goods sold. Now we know how do we get the ending inventory, okay? Now the problem is, we get the ending inventory, that's only a number. But remember, for IFRS, they require that the ending inventory should close to the market price. But problem is some other factor will impact your the market price, and especially for the inventory condition. For example, you are selling some supermarket fresh food, okay? Then for always going to the end of the expiry date, probably the food it's not sellable. If that's so, then you just cannot sell them. But problem is, what about they are still on the sellable condition? Then you have to give the discount in order to sell all the items out, okay? Or some example is, like recently someone called me saying, Miss Pang, that I noticed that your cell phone, your monthly payment, the lease will due within 3 months. We have a good offer. If you want to change your iPhone to other cell phone, we'll give you a very good discount. And actually, after because my iPhone is iPhone 9 something. Okay. 9, okay, I forgot. Anyway, in September, the iPhone 14 is coming up. So they try to clear iPhone 13. Okay? So they give you offer if you want to continue the lease for your telephone monthly bill, then I can offer you an iPhone Pro Max, originally priced, if it's 128 GB, and the original price almost to 40,000, they can sell me like 23,000 something. It's much cheaper than one. Why they want to do that? Because these 3C items, if they don't sell in time, then they just get a loss. So similar things like this. So what about you in your inventory? Okay, and your item with whatever the reason, actually they cannot still keep the original cost. So remember the 2 weeks before we mentioned net realizable value. Something good, goods not condition not good. We need to cut down the price to net realizable value. Remember that? So here is the thing. We need to know NRV again. I believe most of you already forgot how to calculate the net realizable value. What is net realizable value? It's something, I give you an example I remember, the corn. At the end of the year, the corn will not be harvested until next year's March. But they are growing. But you still have to put the inventory number on your balance sheet. How do you know the number? You have to use the calculation for net realizable value. You estimate next March how much the sales price will be. Then you deduct how much more sales, the expense you're going to spend. Then you deduct how much cost you're going to put on. Then that's the net realizable value. Remember that? 记不记得我们曾经讲过净变现价值，就是你的存货在你的仓库里，像玉米那种农作物一样，到期末你就必须把它呈现你的财务报表上，你到底存货多少？因为这些农作物都是你的存货啊，对不对？那你又不知道金额多少，因为它的整个价值都没算出来，我们就用净变现价值，用预期的销货金额减去你还要投入了多少的销货金额的成本。费用还要减去你可能要投入的什么肥料啊、收割啊一大堆钱，那就是净变现价值。Okay, so here is the thing. It's not just the NRV. You just know how to calculate the NRV. That's not enough, because NRV is only the condition, the value for your all these item inventory. Then you still have to compare the NRV with their original cost. For example, these items, original I spent $10,000 to purchase in. But later on, after my calculation of NRV, the value is 850. So which one is lower? For accounting person, they are so conservative. Whatever the assets, they always pick up the lower one. Whatever the liability, they always pick up the higher one. That's what we call conservative for accounting. Accounting, assets always lower, liability always higher. OK， 会计人的稳健原则、保守原则是什么？资产永远是尽量低估，负债就尽量高估。OK，then maybe there's a surprise for your investor. OK，but you don't give them a sad story. Whoops. Oh, I thought we have a good expectation. Actually, we can make it. Then you will be killed by the investor. So we use conservative reason. Okay. In that case, if your original cost is 1,000 and your NRV calculation number 850, then you have to recognize 850. But problem, you cannot let 150 disappear, right? Then $150 has somewhere to go. And then this is what we are talking about. Okay. 所以呢，在这边讲，我们叫做 value in inventory. Okay. For IFRS, at the end of the day, last day, balance sheet day, you always have to finally do a final evaluation for all your asset value. Make sure they close to the market value. We call that valuation or value inventory. At what? This is very important. Lower of cost and the NRV. So that's why calculate the NRV first. For this class, it is a very beginning, early principal accounting. It will not be so complicated, give the question, but you just need to get a concept. Okay, how to get NRV, the formula. And after you have NRV, you compare to cost, then pick up the lower one. That's the one for your inventory value. Okay, so for IAS, International Accounting Standard 2, requires that the inventory must be reported at NRV when NRV is lower than the cost. Why? Because of conservative principle, conservatism principle. Okay, so we just see how to calculate the selling price. Please remember this again. Okay, you just see it here. The selling price is the estimation number. Okay, it's the estimated selling price minus how much you have on like commission or the advertisement. Something like we call down sales expense, commission or advertisement or some other expenses related. And you have to minus again the related cost, like the fertilizer, like the some actual labor or some whatever the cost. After that, then you reach to NRV. Okay. All right. We have a question again. See your paper. Then you easily to let you understand. Here's the example. Okay. Okay, then we take a break. We'll come back to this one. Then can get lowest final inventory cost. Your group? Total? Category? Or individual? Wild guess? Just wild guess. It doesn't matter right or wrong. Category. Okay. How about girls? Which one you think? Overall, category, or individual? These three methods which one will come to the lowest inventory cost? If you know the math, you should know the answer. So what's your answer here? Diana? Individual? Okay. How about your group? Individual. Okay. Because individual very specific grab the lowest one. So when it added up, of course, it should be the lowest one. Otherwise, it can be offset, okay? So go back to the number here. So if the total final number is 287, okay? If the category, the number is 285, still lower than 287. But for the individual, go to 265, okay? So even though there's no force required of which method you should use, because you will think if I'm using the individual, that will cause a lot of the trouble in order to reach the number. You have to compare again. But don't worry, we are AI error. Why? What bothers? Because the computer can carefully pick up for you, not use your manually to do that. So don't worry. So in that case, actually, for the international accounting requirement, they recommend to use the individual method in order to get the real number, more conservative, okay? Okay, finally, no matter which method you are using, what about if the original if the example I just gave to you, this is the cost, and this is the MRV, 8,500. Then this one is originally booked on your book. Then how do you let the number become $8,500? You cannot just cross them to get number. You need to do some what? Entry. You need to do some entry. No entry, no recording. You have always know that. Also, you should know how to do the entry is really important. Okay. Here is the entry. Okay. We will think from 10,000 go to 8,500. Normally, if you haven't learned the accounting, you will say, oh, then it should be a loss, right? Loss. That makes sense. Okay. So usually counted as a loss, but for the new IFRS, again, just like the one we learned before, everything as long as they are lost, they go to where? Cost goods sold. Why cost goods sold? Because as long as they go to cost goods sold, then your gross profit will drop. Then that's the people, they are evaluating your performance of your manufacturing department or purchasing department. Okay, so probably you purchase something or you manufacture something, and actually the condition is not so good. So that's why on the market it's not so popular. When it's not so popular, they just cannot, like the iPhone, cannot sold out in time. Then the value dropped. So people, you need to know all brain can see that number from your gross profit. Whenever your gross profit is going up, which means your manufacturing department, your purchasing department, they are doing a good job. Okay, when your gross profit comparing to the past is dropping, something wrong with your internal. Okay, so whatever the reason, original cost down, then they go to cost of goods sold. Okay, so cost of goods sold is a debit, no more balance, because they are the minus item of sales. Sales is credit. Anything will become minus item, then go to debit. So when it goes to the debit, cost of goods sold, and definitely your value of originally when you have a cost, then your merchandise inventory account should be like this. It should be the debit side. Then you want to let them become 8,500, definitely you need to credit 150. So once you have made that entry, then you will post to here. So your value goes to here, right? Makes sense? So you always have to do the entry first, then everything, the balance will be changed, okay? So here, inventory value dropped, and your cost of goods sold going up, then of course your gross profit going down. Okay, so that's how do you handle that? You know we have to use the lower cost or NRV. But once the first stage, you need to calculate the NRV. Next stage, you have to compare with the cost. If the number NRV is lower than cost, then you should do something in order to reflect the true value. Then what about $10,000 after you calculate the NRV, the value is $10,200, more than your cost. What should you do? You need to do anything? Questions? What about your original cost is $10,000? After you calculate the MRV, the number is $10,200. Will you do any entry in order to make the change? Yes or no? Add it up or do nothing? Yeah, Bruno say no. Of course no. Because that's the cost, you cannot make it more. Okay? So that's a conservative the reason, okay? So if anything more, you do nothing. Anything down, then you make the adjustment like this. Okay? So this is see here is if the cost is lower than the NRV, no adjustment. Okay? Because it's original cost, okay? No adjustment. Alright, so here's example. Later on, actually, just let you know, but it will not be mentioned in this book. Okay, actually, your book, this version, is very concise. Okay, it's different from the prior version. Prior version, that's the year before, it's more thicker and actually have more content. But simply saying it cannot be finished in 1 year, so they cut lots of things. But here is real case. Okay, this year the NRV dropped. Maybe next year the case is year 1. Year 1, the NRV is here, so you pick up this number. Okay, maybe go to year 2, the NRV become $9,000. In that case, do you still want to keep $8,500 or you want to keep $9,000? The answer is we call that reversal. As long as this is the ceiling, as long as they don't go up to break the $10,000, they should be reflect the true value. Okay, so if next year's $9,000, then we use $9,000. If year 3, the value finally going to $10,100, then we are using the $10,000. Okay, so it doesn't mention in your book, but you should know. Once it's the lower cost, but it can be the NRV can later on going up. Depends on what kind of situation. Okay, we call that reversal. Okay, here. So IA-S2 allows reversal here. Okay. Oh. Let's see it works on 6-3. Hopefully. Let's do 6-3. Okay, can you do that? See that? 6-3 in the Tron class?都可以讨论哦，可以看课本哦，可以看你的 PPT。It's open book, but not chat, no chatting. So I'm worried we still have 2 chapters to go. Anyway, so here is the one, actually it's really kind of complicated. I'm not going to spend more time and just give you the concept that be enough. Then that should be almost the end. Okay, it involves 2 years financial statement. Okay, so year 1 and year 2. Okay, so we have which one I should put? Okay, the subject here is what about you're making some error at the end of your inventory? It could be happen. If you found the problem at the current year, of course you will correct it. We are saying what about later on you found your any inventory number has some mistakes. Will that impact your financial statement? And how long the effect will last for? Okay, so here's the thing. For example, we're saying that we make wrong, we overstate, which means originally it should be 100 and you put on 120, then that's overstate. 高估 overstate 就高估，如果你存货高估 what will happen? Okay, if you this condition is assumed everything is correct. Only the error happens here. If your ending inventory is wrong overstat, for example, you should, the correct one is 100, and you make it wrong to 122. You deduct. We are saying what impact with the cost goods sold. Okay, something you minus more than what will cost you cost goods sold lower, right? Right? Originally you have 1,000, then you should get minus 100, get 900. Now you minus 120, make it 180, so it's lower. So always remember the ending inventory and the cost goods sold, they are opposite. Easy to remember. So if that case, then your cost good effect is getting lower or understated. If your cost of goods sold is understated, then sales minus cost of goods sold is overstated. Right? The relationship is very important. Let's say it again. Starting from your ending inventory error, if it's overstated, your cost of goods sold, the opposite is lower, understated. Since the sales will minus the cost of goods sold, minus, which means positive, your net income going up. So the first year one, your net income, if you make error or your ending inventory overstate, they're the same position. The net income will going up same. But this year's ending inventory, when it goes to second year, then it becomes beginning inventory, which means your beginning inventory is going up, right? Then assume the year two, the ending inventory is correct, okay? In that case, your cost goods sold going up again, okay? Then your net income understate, okay? So when you go to year three, since your ending inventory is correct, which means everything's correct, so nothing will happen here. So which means conclusion is, if year one has something wrong error with the ending inventory, the effect only will go to 2 years. And the year one going up, and year two definitely will going down. Actually the number will offset. And actually for year three, nothing happened. But only lasts for two period. Only lasts for 2 period. We just need to remember that, okay? So the conclusion, if this question is only will give the concept, I believe will not use the number to do the calculation, okay? So you have to know the ending inventory, the direction of the ending inventory always the same as net income, and the opposite to cost goods sold, okay? Then to the next year, everything is offset. Then to 2 years. Very easy for this. Looks like it's very complicated, but actually, if you know this graph, this statement, then it should be no problem, okay? You want to do review again? 我们这边同学注意啊，期末存货如果它跟注意啊，我就手上就这一把，我 just have the total number here. Once you end inventory going up, then your cost good definitely will going down. Once your cost good going down up, then your end inventory going down. So their relationship is opposite. 所以你的期末存货高估，你的消费成本一定低估 ，OK？ 那你的消费成本低估，那它最后也会造成你的本期净利高估。所以你只要记住什么？你的期末存货跟你的本期净利是同方向的关系，然后跟消费成本是相反方向，这样就很简单了。OK， 背起来很容易，可是你久了你还是会忘记。那最好的方法 ，the best thing is ask you to follow the statement. But it's easy to remember, oh, any inventory and has the same direction with the net income and have the opposite direction with the cost of goods sold, then enough. Okay, and the effect only for 2 years. But for longer later, probably you'll forget. Okay, then the best thing is you still have to know the income statement. Okay, then will keep your, the knowledge forever. Okay, so this is the one for the effect. We're not doing this. Okay, really, finally, almost the end. Always a financial index here. Okay, we are saying the inventory turnover. So probably you are saying, oh, these restaurants really have good business. How do you know they have good business? Because their table turnover is very fast, which means people come, customer come, comes and go very fast. We say that turnover. So inventory turnover, same thing. Okay, like the inventory, the goods can be sold, how frequent, how fast. Okay, we say that inventory turnover. But how to the formula, how to calculate the total cost of goods sold divided, don't forget, average inventory. Again, remember from the prior chapter, we say average assets. Always the beginning add up with the ending divided by 2. We say that average. Here is again, every inventory you should get the beginning inventory number. If you don't know, how do I know the beginning inventory? Just check the prior year's ending inventory, same number. Okay, beginning is the last year's ending inventory. Okay, so this year's beginning inventory added up with the ending inventory divided by 2. We say that. So you have to do this correct again, then go to the formula. Okay, so this is what we call inventory turnover. Okay, very important. The faster, the better. Okay, which means it's very hot item, very popular, very popular. Okay, some people might not ask you about inventory turnover. They are asking you, in other words, how many days sales in inventory, which means the item in the warehouse, how many days take that to sell. Okay, the shorter, the better, right? Okay, so how do you calculate that? The formula is ending inventory divided by cost of goods sold times 365. But for me, I prefer, since we already have the inventory turnover number, you just use the 365 days a year divided by that number. Then you also get the days. Actually, these 2 days probably will have a little bit number difference, but it's okay. It's okay. So I prefer to use this formula, which is not on your book. Okay, so same thing. 365, once you get an inventory turnover, then you get the days again. Okay, so this is another way to get day sales in inventory. Okay, so here is the thing. Okay, the shorter, the better. Okay, how do you know the shorter, the better? Because we just say inventory over, the faster, the higher, the faster. Okay, so when the number here is higher, of course, the days can be shorter. Okay, so easy to remember. So that will be the end of this chapter. Oh, again, last quiz, and we'll finish this chapter. Go back to Trump again. Okay? happen, don't submit too fast. You have to make sure you are right.
Okay. I think so.
What happened to the student here?
Haven't finished it.
So we're going to have the exam for chapter 6 next week, Tuesday, okay? The formal exam. And I will upload the in-class quiz later on to your Tron class. Then for your exam, I will pick up the question from the file, okay? Then we have true and false questions and the multiple choice. That's it. No real calculation problem. Okay.
Sorry, Professor. Can I ask why am I absent?
I have to refresh again. Yeah, this is the final one. 新品还在做吗？还继续做。So, okay, that will be all for today. Thank you, and we'll see. And try to show up. It really is really important. Every Tuesday class, the TA will help you to review again and again for your midterm common exam. Okay, so just do like a machine, do it repeat. And I can assure you, if everyone here, our class average can be about 65, 70, I will buy you a bubble tea every day, everyone.